everybody. Today we're going to do an Aurora Borealis, and that's tongue twister, but it's the Northern Lights, or the winter glow that you see in the sky if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So I have a canvas, and I have black, blue, like a teal turquoise color, and some silver. And I want to build up the background sky first, so I have a big brush, and I'm going to dip into, actually going to add a little bit of white to this. And I want to start off with a little bit of teal and a little bit of white. And we're going to start off right kind of in the middle, right in this area. You can add a little bit of water to help the paint glide on. This is a water-based acrylic paint. Add a little bit more teal to this. And a little touch of blue. I have a dark blue. This is a phthalo blue. It's a very beautiful jewel tone. Good base. And as I get higher up in the sky, I'm just making it a little bit darker. I'm going to pull it back down into the horizon. And I have nice horizontal brush strokes. Just going left to right, trying to fill in those little nooks and crannies that the canvas sometimes repels the paint. I'm going to add a little touch of silver and mix a little bit of a navy by adding blue and silver. Get a little higher up there. I'm just going to pull it down a little. I do want to wrap my canvas, so we are going to do a gallery wrap. And that's just a fancy word for saying paint the sides. That way when you hang it on the wall, it just looks nice and finished and goes right into the wall. You don't have to do this. You can always just buy a frame for it, hang it on the wall that way. I'm going to clean my brush. And I'm just going to go backwards into the colors and just paint my sides. Alright, so we have a pretty good base. I'm going to clean my brush again and maybe set the stage with some snow. I'm going to go back into this teal color, maybe just bring it down ever so slightly in the middle. And you can go ahead and start to add a little bit of white for where the snow is going to go. Now when I do these paintings, I don't know what they're going to look like. I just have an idea or a little bit of a gist of an idea in my head, and then what comes out comes out. Fix the sides a little here. Sometimes the paint doesn't want to cooperate. I'm going to dip into the white, and I'm just going to start to kind of create some little snowy hills. I'm going to redefine these later. And it is okay if a little bit of the teal gets in there. That's just gonna kind of denote a little bit of a temperature. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that a little bit later. I'm just painting the bottom of the canvas a little lighter. And I'm going to go back into that teal and maybe a little bit of blue color. Just soften it up a little. Okay, I think we have a pretty good base. Add a little bit more blue to the top. All right, I think we're gonna just let that dry so we can start adding more elements, but we got a pretty good base, and yeah, just let it dry. So I've let it dry, and I want to figure out how I want my sky to be. Aurora Borealis kind of dances in the sky, and it's kind of a barely there, not there, somewhere else. It literally just dances in the sky, and just when you think you got it, it moves away. It's quite a spectacular thing to see. So maybe sometime in your life you can go see it in the farther northern regions, closer to the North Pole, fictitious place, but anyway, so I have chalk, and I'm going to kind of figure out where I want my lines to go. Now my canvas has to be dry in order for this to stick. Chalk and water and chalk and paint are not really good friends if it's wet. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have some nice snow-covered trees here and a little snowbank here. So in my sky is where it's going to dance. So I'm just going to try to figure out where I want it to go. And they kind of just wisp out and just kind of do their thing. So I just have a couple little areas where I want it to go. All right, so I now want to add a little tiny bit of paint to a small brush. I don't want to have a lot of paint on my brush, and I could even kind of add just a touch of water just to kind of figure out where it's going to go. I'm just going to sort of trace my chalk line. And I'm just using white for right now to kind of set it in. And then I want to take a bigger fluffy brush, and I kind of want to soften it a little. I'm just kind of softening it up. It might have dried a little too quickly. That's okay. We'll add maybe a little bit more. And then maybe dust it a little bit more. want to take some fluorescent green. Ooh, that's a lot. And I think I want to take a smaller round brush. I'm just going to kind of add that to each little strand that has the white on it. I'm going to take just the fluorescent, maybe add a couple more little wavy lines, really soft. And just let it kind of dance in the sky. Get a little thicker in some areas. All right. So once you get kind of to a place where you're like, okay, I like this, you can move on, and we're going to move on by adding some stars. And in order to do that, I want a nice clean brush. I'm going to use my round brush, and I want to blot off all the excess water. I want to just dip a little tiny bit of white into, just a little bit of white on my brush. I'm going to wipe it off, and then I'm going to soak up the brush with a little bit of water and mix that together. And you want kind of the consistency of like a skim milk, or just kind of watery, but not too watery. It's a very fine balance. If you are using a palette or a plate, you can tilt it, and if it just starts to drip, that is the correct consistency. If it doesn't drip, you need a little more water, and if it drips too quickly, you're going to need a little bit more paint. So you want to hold the brush with your non-dominant hand. I am right-handed, and I'm holding the brush in my left hand. And then I want to flick towards myself. And when you flick towards yourself, you think you're going to get it on you, but it's actually going to go onto the canvas. And I'm just going to start to create some little stars. And it's just going to fall where it may. We're just going to kind of create a little bit of a galaxy or snow. This could be stars or snow. And we're kind of working on the frozen tundra here. You can make a lot, you can make a little. It's really totally up to you. But once you add the stars, it really just makes it a little bit more kind of cosmic and fun. So if you have too much paint, you're going to get strings. So if you have strings, that means you need more water. And it's always best to test a little area, like say in the corner, that's easier to cover up if you do make a mistake. But yeah, if it drips right away, not enough paint. So it's a really fine consistency. What you're looking for are little tiny dots. All right. So now I've got my stars. And since my background is a little bit drier, we can go ahead and add some more snowbank. I'm going to pick up more white. And just try to start to create a little bit of a snowbank. I'm okay with some of the lighter colors down below. It gives it a little bit of a kind of texture and dimension. So there's a little soft hue of that lighter kind of teal color. All right. We have a really nice base background, and we're going to want to start to build up some trees. So I'm going to go ahead and use my round brush, and I'm going to use some black, and I'm going to kind of create a multitude of little trees, maybe some that are far away, that'll be a little smaller. I'm just starting off with some lines right now. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start to kind of create the tree. I'm just tapping my brush kind of in a zigzag pattern, just to kind of make it thinner at the top or skinnier at the top. And then as we go farther down, it just gets a little denser and a little wider. But it's kind of like a long, skinny triangle. I'm just going to keep on going. Now the white's still a little bit wet at the base, so I'm not going to worry about it just yet. But we can maybe overlap it when it dries a little. But we still have a few trees to go. I'm going to stop shy of the snow and move on to my other one. And if you make it too rounded, just pull up the top and just make it a little pointier. Sometimes I see people do that when they paint. So just pull it up and make it just a little pointier if you feel they're a little too rounded at the top. Also, when you do a silhouette, you really want to make sure that the middle is dense. So it's nice and dense in the middle here. And trees come in very different sizes and shape. There's quite a few different varieties of, evergreens, or like a pine tree. There's like spruce. You know this when you pick out a Christmas tree. You see the different kinds of Christmas trees. Although now they're all plastic, but you kind of get the gist. And we're just going to keep on going down to the bottom. These are going to be snow covered, so this just kind of serves as a base. And you can make a lot, you can make a little, it's really up to you. But as we get closer to the middle, it just kind of denotes that they're far away when they're tinier. So it kind of creates a bit of perspective. And if your brush isn't comfortable or you feel it's just not working for you, just switch brushes. You want to work while you're comfortable, so if your brush doesn't feel too comfortable, just switch. Alright, we want to probably add some on this side, so we'll do kind of the same thing. Get a bigger one over here, maybe another one right here. Maybe a tiny one right there. I'll probably even add a little tiny one right there. Alright, so Bob Ross is always talking about happy little trees. I'm going to show you how to make a happy little tree. So, you have a line, And basically from that line, you just want to put a dot and another dot and then a little smiley face, and you have a happy little tree. So dot, dot, smiley face, happy little tree. This is going to get covered up, so I'm just being silly. But you just want to keep on going towards the bottom and make sure that they're grounded at the bottom, pun intended, because you know it's a tree, it's grounded. Grows from the ground. And I'm just kind of tapping my brush along. And just filling in the middle. And again, trees come in all different shapes and sizes in its nature. They sometimes grow very asymmetrical, or something happens. Maybe their limb isn't 100% perfect. You never know. And if you're not liking the texture of your tree, try a different brush. Sometimes different brushes give different textures. And of course, sometimes when you do something, you just make a happy accident. And sometimes you can't even replicate it. Those are fun when they happen. Well, you just keep going, tree after tree. It's really up to you how many you make. The more you make, the more work you have. But if you're enjoying this process, make plenty. Make them small, make them bigger up front. Of course, they're going to get snow covered, so they will change. And now this should be a little drier over here, so we'll just kind of tap the trees a little farther into the snowbank. Maybe angle your brush so it feels a little more dimensional. And I'll drop this one down a little. Now if it mixes a little bit with the white and turns gray, don't be too concerned about that, because we're going to be adding some more white to this and it's just going to change. All right, so I'm thinking maybe we can even make some tinier ones all the way in the back. So I'm going to get a different brush and just make it a little tinier. That kind of denotes far, far away. All right, I think we could be a little more playful with the sky. I'm thinking maybe even a moon. So, since I loved the sky that I did for the snowman, I think I might do the same kind of elements that we had before. I'm just going to start off with a nice circle. And if you feel like you're not super confident, you can always use chalk to create your circle and then go ahead and just kind of fill it in. I'm just going to tap my brush to create a bit of a texture. And maybe just add the smallest little bit of black. Or you know what, even silver. I think silver would be kind of pretty. And I'll just add some silver for the craters. A little bit of shimmer. And some of the blue might show through too, so that's kind of pretty. But you just want to create this little texture. And if you feel you lost some of your white, you just add more back in. And just adding texture to it. And sometimes if you use your finger, that gets you some pretty cool craters as well. All right, I'm feeling like we need some twinkle stars, so I'm going to add a little tiny bit of white to my little tiny brush and add some twinkle stars here and there. This is a good place for one. And I'm kind of starting from the middle and then stretching out. The brush stroke naturally just likes to be a little pointier when you're lifting it. Well, I do not think I did very well on that. So here's a fun little fact. If you do feel you messed up, the background is indeed dry. And so if you get a paper towel wet and you catch it in time, you can usually just work it out. So if I don't like it, it's still workable. All right, so I didn't like that. And I'm thinking maybe I want a smaller brush. Let's see what my little brush arsenal has. Okay. We'll use, here we go. Here's the tiny one I was looking for. Ooh, that's even tinier. Perfect. All right, so smaller details require smaller brushes and also lighter touches. So the pressure of your brush will denote the size of your line. So if you have a really light touch, and sometimes you want to add a little bit of water. Yes, your water might be tinged with a color, but it should fade away and it should, when it dries, turn white again. But a light touch will denote a smaller line, and a more pressured touch will give you a thicker line. All right, so I'm just kind of doing a plus sign and a multiplication sign. And then I can add maybe another one, maybe right here. A little tiny one. Maybe one more right here. Tiny and maybe far away. We'll just call this one the North Star. It's going to be the brightest star in the sky. All right, so I want to make a couple more bigger stars. So I'm going to take the back of my brush and I'm just going to add a couple little stars. A little bit bigger, and you can have fun with this. You can create like little constellations. You can, I don't know, do your initials. You can put a heart in the sky. It's really up to you, but it just creates another depth or dimension. Just kind of makes your sky come to life a little bit more. And the stars are usually really pretty in the darker areas of your canvas or your painting. In the lighter ones, you don't see them as much, but up here is where all the magic happens in the celestial bodies. And then you want to make sure you wipe off the back of your brush because you don't want it to get all over yourself. All right, so I think I'm pretty good with the sky. Well, I don't know, maybe some more right there. All right. So now I've got my sky done. I'm pretty sure my black is mostly dry. It's wet in a couple of spots. I'm just going to take a little paper towel and just hyper expedite that drying process because sometimes I just like to be impatient. And some of this is going to get covered up anyway, but it's mostly dry. All right, so going back into my white, I'm going to just go ahead and start to create a little snow texture. Now you want to let some of the black kind of show through. You don't want to cover it up completely. And you want to make sure that these show up at the top, like as if the snow falled, or the snow is falling, and it just kind of grabbed the top. You want to kind of make sure you fill in the top and leave sort of the underside a little bit of the shadowy undercolor. And you're just tapping away. Sometimes the snow comes in clumpier areas for a tree. And maybe the snow accumulated down below, so your tree is a little bit more at the bottom, because all the snow falls to the bottom, so it kind of buries the bottom of the tree. right, you just want to keep moving on to each little tree, each little branch, and just create your textures. Now I don't have a lot of paint on my brush. I keep dipping in little tiny bits, but if you do get clumps, you can just go over it and just reallocate it somewhere else on your painting. And just kind of tap it around and over and just kind of move it somewhere else if you feel it's a little too thick. You can also take a paper towel and kind of scoop it up if you want. Oh, a little bit wet there, so I'm going to wipe off my brush and then go back over. Some of that turned a little bit gray. All right, moving on to the next one. Oh, did it again, a little too thick. Sometimes if you just take your finger and just kind of blot it, a little of that undercurrent color come out. You just want to keep on tapping. Maybe the snow just fell and it's a little more concentrated up here, and on these it fell down a little bit. I don't know. Paintings tell stories. You just make up one. So I'm just adding a little bit of white underneath the trees. Sometimes if they fall, they create little clumps around the bottom. But I don't know. You can add whatever else you'd like to add. You can add little footprints in the snow. Maybe some little bunny or some little deer walked through. It's really up to you. You can also sign it if you want, usually the bottom left or right hand corner, but that is pretty much it. This is your Aurora Borealis on a winter night. And here's the final product. And it's just a nice magical winter night. And you could see the lights kind of dancing. That's the beauty of using the fluorescent green, is that a black light will actually kind of make it glow. So you can kind of get that illusion. It was just kind of a fun painting. Nice winter night sky. Anyway, I hope you learned fun new tips and tricks in this video. And if you had a good time, please like it. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and I'll keep bringing more awesome videos to you. Anyway, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. And we'll see you soon. Have a great day, you guys, and Happy New Year. Well, Cleo has decided to stomp in the village of the Northern Lights. And this is Cleo. Cleo, say hi. Cleo, hey. She's a funny kitty. He is a funny kitty. Clea, look up. There you are.